Good evening everyone, welcome to another episode with Cooking with Stir Crazy. My name is Chef Jody O'Connor and tonight we are going to be showing you how to make some really quick and easy steamed Szechaun pepper dim sum steamed buns. A few things to mention before we get started. I'm going to be showing you how to make the actual steamed dough itself. And then once that dough has been made, we'll put a chicken mixture into it, which goes with the actual recipe itself. But always remember that when it comes to this type of recipe, the filling can be anything you would like. It does not have to be what the recipe says. If you want to substitute the chicken with beef, pork, prawns, fish, anything you would like, you by all means can do that. The recipe we're going to be doing tonight has got quite a nice little flavor. It's got a little bit of heat because of the Szechaun pepper that comes with it. However, you could put anything in there that you want. If you don't want to put the pepper in, you don't have to put it in. Right. So first thing before we get started, being that we're doing dim sum, we're going to have some sake as a tradition. So we've got a nice little decanter here. So me and the wife shall have a shot of sake. There you go. So
shot or sip? Can't be just sip.
Oh, it's a sip.
Cheers.
Yes. Cheers, everyone. Oh, that's strong. That takes your breath away.
It really does.
So there we go. So that's how you start your dim sum evening. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is explain to you the equipment that you need, and then we're going to go through the ingredients that is necessary to make the dish. Firstly, when it comes to equipment, obviously not everyone has a steamer at home. So this can be quite a tricky part because obviously when it comes to dim sum, it's quite important to steam it, especially if this type of recipe, you don't want to be boiling it or frying it or anything like that. And what we've done is I've put together a little system that you can all have a look and you can all see exactly how to make a steamer at home without spending a single cent on those bamboo steamers, which are really good and worth it. Just FYI, if you have a chance, get them. But if you don't, this is what you can do. So as you can see, I've got a pot. In there is just steaming, boiling water, so nothing to talk about just yet. But then I'm going to have a colander. So you can see just a straightforward colander, nothing special about it. It doesn't have to be exactly like this. It can be even those wire mesh ones. It doesn't really matter. And all we're going to be doing is taking this colander, putting it straight on. You want to make sure that no water is coming through the bottom. If there's water in here, you are going to be boiling your dim sum. You don't want to do that. You want to steam them. Once that's there, you take the lid that was on there, and before I go there, sorry, then you can take a plate, a flat plate. It doesn't matter what kind. Put that into the bottom like that, and that creates a flat. Note that this is still under the rim. You can see the rim sitting over here. These are also under the rim. And then if I take this and I put it on top, completely closed, complete steamer ready to go that you can make at home. As you can see, it's really straightforward and easy to do this. From now on, I'm going to keep that on there just to allow the steam to start building up. And that is one of the tricks when it comes to dim sum, when it comes to steaming. You want your steamer to be full of steam when you start. You don't want to have it just simmering and not really building up any steam until you put everything in there, because then the whole process is going to take longer. So what we're going to be doing is, once we've got our dim sum balls ready, we're going to open here, put them in, and you close. You want to keep this closed as long as possible. Okay. So the next little thing is the other type of equipment that you need. You need a steamer, whether it be bamboo or makeshift. You need a mixing bowl. You need a roasting tray. You need a rolling pin, and you need that's all you really need in terms of equipment. You do need a knife and a spoon and a fork later, just for the measuring and the cutting of the ingredients, but nothing of the major concern. When it comes to ingredients, come have a look on this side and you can see what we've got. So the recipe calls for chicken thighs. You can use chicken thighs or you can use chicken breast. It doesn't really matter. If you're not using chicken at all, it can be any part of whatever you are using, whether it be prawn or beef or anything like that. I'm going to be showing you how to do it with a chicken breast. Then what comes with the chicken breast, and this is part of the marinade or your filling, is soya sauce. You need some honey. You need some Chinese rice wine. You need some John West chili, or basically the recipe calls for a John West chili. Basically, John West is a brand, just like Wellington's. So Wellington's sweet chili would work just perfectly in that case. You need a garlic, which is crushed and chopped. and you need some Szechaun pepper. If you do not have Szechaun pepper, you can just use normal peppercorns, but remember that peppercorns is about 2 to 3 times as strong as a Szechaun pepper. So the recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of peppercorns crushed, Szechaun peppercorns. So if you don't have peppercorns, you're going to use about less than 1 teaspoon of crushed black pepper. Right, and that is your ingredients in terms of your actual stuffing. If you want to add anything to this, whether it be chili, whether it be any type of herb, spring onions, anything like that, you can throw it into this little concoction. The next little bit would be your dough, your fluffy dough. Now obviously, if this mixture itself, if you don't do a dough, then it's just going to be a really nice little stir fry, something you can make. The dough, which is obviously important what we're doing, is you need 150 grams of plain flour. It doesn't have to be cake flour or bread flour, it can be any type of flour, but preferably a cake flour. Then you need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Then you need 1 tablespoon of caster sugar. Then you need a half teaspoon of salt. Then you need 40 mils of milk. And you need 1.5 tablespoons of oil. Now that oil can be normal cooking oil or olive oil. In this case we have done normal canola oil because we don't want to impart that olivey taste to the dim sum itself. You will need a little bit of extra water just during the mixing process, but that's very minimal, about a tablespoon if that. Right, so that's basically everything that you need. I'm going to show you how to put it together and you'll be quite surprised how quick this whole thing is. So the first thing I'm going to do is clear your space. Make sure you've got the space to work with. And we're going to start with our bowl. So first thing, you take your flour. You put your flour in. Then you're going to put your baking powder into the bowl. Put all of it in there. Then we are going to take a whisk. And again, we just got to mix the flour and the baking powder together, make sure it's nice and even. Then once that's started nicely, then you're going to take your salt, and then you're going to take your sugar. And again, you just got to mix those through, make sure everything's nice and even. Alright, now we're going to stop with the whisk, and we're going to get a wooden spoon. And then we're going to throw in our oil. And then we're going to throw in our milk. Right. So now we're going to just start mixing this through together to make a nice little sludgy looking mixture.
Sludgy.
Sludgy, there we go. Alright. Then we're going to take some tepid water. And you're going to add just a little bit in. That's probably about a little bit more than a tablespoon. I'm just going to mix everything together just so all the extra flour and stuff starts coming together quite nicely. Now I can tell you in terms of smell, I can smell the oil, and that's a good sign. You should be able to smell the oil, but you shouldn't really be smelling the flour and everything else that's in there. So if I feel it now, I can see it's starting to clump together, but it hasn't quite formed into a ball just yet. So this is a good point to actually start turning it out, and actually mixing it with your hands. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze it all together at the bottom. If it sticks to your hands, that's not a problem. I'm just going to squish it all together until it forms into a nice ball. Alright. So now that it's formed into a rough ball, put that onto your counter. Put all the extra flours in so you can see there's nothing left in here. And then I'm going to flatten this out and start pulling all my extra flour that was lying around, start mixing it into the dough itself. I want to try not to waste anything because it all gets used in the recipe. Alright, so is there any questions yet? Nothing like that?
No, but Mika is, I'm so excited about this. Go Jody. Brenda says your favorite Jody, thank you. And Charlene Reynolds, loved our class with you.
Fantastic. Right, so as you can see, I'm just going to be kneading it like we normally do, just in that V formation. And you're going to be doing this from anywhere from between 5 to 10 minutes. And then once this is done, you're going to allow this to rest. Now this is important. If you do not allow this to rest, it will come out quite hard. And definitely not as soft and fluffy and puffy as you would like to. So you'll do this for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then once this is done, you'll put this into a bowl or a plate and just allow it to rest. It will increase in size because of the baking powder. So this should be fine. And then again, you're just going to pull it out into a nice ball, just like that. Put it into your bowl and then put a cloth over it. Alright, just like that. Alright, so that's your dough. As you can see, the dough is very simple, very quick to make. I've literally made it in less than 5 minutes, and now it's just going to sit there and you can use it whenever you want to. In terms of how long it will last, you make the dough for the day you're making it. Don't make the dough today for tomorrow. That's not what you want to do. Fresher the better, especially when it comes to a steamed bun. Now when it comes to the chicken, you can take a look at all the ingredients. Like I say, they're all measured out already. So all I need to do is take my chicken into a bowl, a prepared bowl. There we go. Then you're going to take your soy sauce and you're going to pour all over that chicken. Take your sweet chili sauce, pour it all over it. You're pretty much going to repeat the process with all these ingredients. There's no particular direction in terms of what goes first or what goes last, as long as they all go into there, just like that. Obviously the garlic you want to scatter around, you don't want it all in clumps in one spot. And then the Szechaun pepper you scatter around. Alright, so once you got that, as you can see, you got a nice little mixture over there. And then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be mixing all together, getting everything mixed together. Spin that chicken around in the sauce, get it really nicely marinated. The honey is obviously on top, you want to get in there. You don't have to use your hands. Obviously you should have started washing your hands before you started. I obviously have done that with mine. And then just like that, we're allowed to sit there. Now you could allow this to marinate in there for up to an hour and then cook it. But there's not really much difference, because as it roasts in the oven, the sauce reduces down and the chicken sucks it up anyway. So just as this is, just like this, you put this straight into the oven, just like that. And now that will cook anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, depending on the piece of chicken you're using and how much you are using. If you are putting in, let's say, a kilo of chicken, it's going to take more than an hour to cook. However, a piece like that, a single breast, will take probably about 20 minutes to a half an hour, as long as your oven is preheated. Now when it comes to the temperature and everything on the oven, that is pretty straightforward. It's 180 for, again, about 20 minutes to a half an hour.
Mika, are you making a wonton dough or a bun dough?
I'm making a bun dough. What you can do is you can have a look at our website probably tomorrow morning, and you'll be able to get a wonton dough dumpling recipe that we will be doing. I'll be putting onto the website as well. Right, so after a half an hour, however long it takes to cook the chicken, you're going to take your chicken out and you're going to allow it to cool down. Now that's a very crucial step. You have to let it cool down. If you don't let it cool down, it's going to burn your hands, and when you actually try to use it, you're probably going to be coming up with more burn shield on your fingers than actual dumpling dough. Once that's done and it's cooled down, you're going to take your chicken and you're going to shred it. If it's on the bone, you're going to shred it with a fork. Just pull as much meat as possible. If it's the chicken, you're just going to take a fork as well. And you're just going to shred it or chop it up into little pieces. Once that's done, your mix should look something like that. It will probably be a bit darker than this, but it will look very similar like this. So this is just, as you can see, chopped up chicken breast. That's got all the little flavors and tasty bits in there. After that is cooked, because your dough and your chicken should be finished roughly at the same time, then your dough will look like this. Now this is obviously, it's a much smaller bit, but it has puffed up quite a bit. And it's very soft, very light in texture. You can feel, there we go, very, very soft. And what we're going to be doing is you're going to take this dumpling dough and you divide this to however many dumplings you want. Now bear in mind that when you do divide this, you need to take into account the size. So this amount is probably a quarter of the recipe that you've just done. So as you can see how big they are. Don't think that if you had to cut a piece, the ball that it is, it's going to get much bigger than this. So what you want to be doing is probably taking a little bit more off there. And as you can see, the little ball literally holds in the palm of my hand, very, very small. Okay. Then the next step we're going to be doing is we're going to be rolling the dim sum. all we're going to be doing is flattening it out very gently.
Gabriella. I missed where to go for the dough recipe due to the horrors of buffering. Winner chicken dinner. It'll go online, hey?
It will go online tomorrow, yes. Alright, then you're going to take a rolling pin and you're going to go one way, put it sideways, then you roll outwards. And that should give you a relatively large surface area. As you can see, it does not need to be a perfect circle. Okay, that's how you start. You can see the thinness over here is probably about 1/4 of a centimeter thick. If you go too thin on this, you're not going to have much skin layer between your filling, and it's probably going to break in when it starts expanding later. So this is a good thickness. And then what you're going to be doing is taking your hand like that, kind of cupping it in like a little circle. You could also do it like that. I find for me it works nice like that. You take your pastry, you lay it on over there, and then you gently start the extra little bits. You start feeding into the middle, just lifting it up and bringing it forward until there's a nice little hole like that. Little pocket. Alright, just like that. You can see how it's sitting around my hand. Let me pull that back. You can see how it's sitting around my hand. Just like that. Now this is the point where you can start putting your filling in. So as you can see, you can put your filling in. If your filling's got some sauce, get that sauce in there. It will all be completely encapsulated. So as you can see, I've put in quite a little bit. You can put less in there, you can put more in there. That is your choice at the end of the day. For me, I like it quite full because it just makes the dim sum more enjoyable later on. Next thing you're going to do is your lowest points that you have. So you can see I've got a low point here and a low point here. That is where you start. You bring those low points, you stretch them up a little bit, don't pull too much, and you just fold it over to the middle like that. Then on this side, I'm just going to grab the corner here, do the exact same thing, just bring it forward like that, bring that forward. Then you're going to start pinching the big points, and you're going to start pinching everything together like that. Make sure your filling's staying in nicely. And then that nice little flap you're going to pull over. You don't have to have the flap, you just have to pinch it together. Then I'm just going to make sure that all the corners that was on this side essentially becomes one. And I'm going to gently roll it like that. Just like that. And if I turn over, I've got a nice little...
So you put it seam down.
Seam down, definitely seam down, yes.
I think do another one.
Alright. So there's one ready to go dumpling.
So you see we've got seam at the bottom.
There we go. Alright, so I'll do another one just so you guys can see it. So see it again. So you squish your piece out, not too much. So for size comparison, just find something that you all would be familiar with in size.
It's a little bit bigger than a golf ball, but smaller than a tennis ball.
There we go. So there we go. We're going to roll out again. Turn it sideways. Roll out again. As you can see, doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Getting roughly about that 1/2 centimeter or 1/4 centimeter thick pastry. Roll it out. So I'm just fighting with it here. Make that pocket. There we go. And then take my filling. Put it into the center. There we go, just like that. And then I'm going to start folding it all and start joining all my seams together, just like that. And then make it into a nice little ball. Make sure those seams are pinched nicely together so that they do not come apart later. And then roll it there.
Can you get one more?
Huh?
Can you get one more out of that?
Yeah, I can do one more.
Cool.
Alright, so we're just going to roll these out.
It's that pinching that gets me.
Okay.
And they always come apart.
Alright, so move this to the side. So then we go again. Roll out one way. And then roll outwards. Like that, a little bit bigger. There we go, you can see I'm getting that same 1/4 inch or 1/4 centimeter, not inch. Alright, so then again you put onto your hand, make your nice little pocket, get your nice amount of filling in there. Right?
Okay, and then low side, and you just pinch.
And you pinch all the pieces together until they start sticking together. And then you can start, when you got halfway, you can start tucking your filling in and start just pinching them all together, completely enclose and seal all the seams that you see. So if you can see any chicken, you need to pinch it.
Okay.
And that is not why the chicken crossed the road. Alright, so there we go. There's another one. So there's 3 done, buns ready to go. If you wanted to pre-make this, you could make these probably about maybe 2 or 3 hours before the time you would need it. But again, fresh is always best. So now we got our steamer ready. So what we'll do, I'm going to take that out. I'm going to check the water, which should be enough for what we're going to be doing. We want to dry the bottom. Oh wait, we don't need to because we're using a plate. So you just take a cloth, the plate that you're going to be putting on, you just want to make sure it's dry, which it is. It is very hot, so just be very careful when you do it. Then you're going to take a little bit of spray and cook. Just a little spray on there, nothing spectacularly difficult. Then you're going to take your buns. Now bear in mind, your buns are going to expand. Do not put them right next to each other like this. They will join in the middle and fuse together. You want to give them a good amount of space between each one. Like that. Alright. Now what we're going to do is we're going to be taking this into the steamer. You plop it down in the middle. You take your lid. You put it on top. Mine's on very low because we don't want the water to boil. So now I put it onto about a medium heat to allow the steam to go. Now this will cook anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes depending on how hot your steamer is. Steam does have varying temperatures, so obviously on the higher end, if you've kept it closed like I've kept it, it should take anywhere from about 10 to 13 minutes around about there. But ultimately, when they are ready, they will be quite puffy, quite ready to go, and very, very, very light, as opposed to what they felt like when you initially put them in. The reason they feel light is they haven't actually lost any weight. They just look bigger, so you expect them to be heavier because of what you were feeling beforehand. So they are just very, very light. So this now will cook for about 10-15 minutes. Once that's all done, let's move all the stuff out of the way. Once it's all done, we'll get this. There we go.
It's getting all steamy in there.
That's it. Alright.
Ta-da!
And then once they're all done, this is what they'll look like. As you can see, they are a little bit bigger. And if I had to take a knife to this, let's move our chopsticks. If I had to take a knife to this, now this is very, very light. If I cut it straight down the center, and you'll open it up and you'll see.
That looks so yummy! And then dipping sauce wise?
And then dipping sauce can be almost anything you would like. This, what we've got here, is a truffle soya sauce. And this is a sweet chili sauce that we've got over here. Together they are absolutely unbelievable. And as you can see how the bun is, lots of filling. You can see how the bun itself has steamed quite nicely. And all you're going to do is you're just going to have a little touch of the soya, a little touch of the sweet chili, just get that all mixed together and enjoy. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time.
Is it yummy?